Randy and Cal have beef? What? Colby, hit it.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Ahoy, sailors. It is Tuesday, March 10th, 2026. You're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network.
Keep it together.
My name is Tidy Gonzalez, and I'm joined as always by my co-host Colby Patnode. We're two lifelong Mariners fans who've been covering the team for over half a decade, and today we will unfortunately be talking about Handshake Gate. That's what some are calling it. And by some, I mean me. That's what I'm calling it. The apparent beef between Cal Raleigh and Randy Arozarena. And then, after that, we'll get into the results of round 2 of our top 50 Mariners Moments tournament and then look at the round 3 matchups. But before we do all that, I want to shout out our title sponsor today, MLB The Show 26. Visit MLBTHE.show/locked on and use the promo code locked on. That's LOCKEDON to unlock a pack for use in Diamond Dynasty. Pre-order now, available March 17th on PlayStation 5, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch. Rated E for everyone. You know what wasn't rated E for everyone, Colby?
Tell me.
What Randy Arozarena had to say about Cal Raleigh after last night's Team USA Mexico game in the World Baseball Classic.
What?
Randy saying about Cal that he should bleep off and go to HE double hockey sticks. Crazy. After Cal didn't want to shake his hand, which has blown up, Colby. I don't know if you've seen it. I don't know if you've been on X.com recently, but it's everywhere. It's the biggest story in the baseball world, which means we unfortunately have to talk about it because we run a Mariners podcast, and the biggest story in the baseball world today, unfortunately, revolves around the Mariners for all the wrong reasons.
God forbid we go above it, take the high road, but no, we'll slum it here with everybody who thinks this is a big deal. Sure, why not?
Sure. Yeah, you are very excited to talk about this, as am I. So stoked to talk about this. So yeah, Cal didn't want to shake Randy's hand before Randy's first at bat in last night's game. Okay, this wasn't the first time we've seen this in the WBC. It happened in the Australia Czech game, I think. Yeah. And then it happened between Randy and Will Smith last WBC as well. And you know how Randy is. Like if you're a Mariners fan, you know Randy by now. So it's hard to even know if what he said after the game was, serious or not. I mean, after all, this is a guy that was shagging fly balls in a poncho and cowboy boots before the game last night. This is a guy that I've seen multiple times in Toronto taking selfies with people while on the on-deck circle. while there's like a mound visit happening or what have you. Like, Randy's a goofy little guy. And maybe Randy was being just a goofy little guy after the game yesterday. Now, that said, I don't think that Dan Wilson would be talking about, having to reach out to Randy and Cal today if it was just a joke, if it was just a bit. Kind of seems like maybe there is some like actual beef here over the non-handshake, the refused handshake, if you will. And who knows what the actual reason for that is? Is it just Cal being super competitive? Is it like the old heads in that Team USA clubhouse going, we're not shaking hands with these guys, blah, 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 and just Cal following suit, which, God, who cares? Or is it like, a directive from the WBC and, the umpire last night going like, hey, like, don't transfer pine tar, all that, like, don't shake hands with someone who has batting gloves on. Who knows? Who cares? This is nothing. This is literally nothing unless it continues into the Mariners clubhouse, continues into the season, and actually has some sort of noticeable impact on how the club performs. And I don't think it's going to get to that point. over a refused handshake. Like, I get it. There's obviously the history of Randy's beef with Yandy Diaz. So you have some history here with the specific player of having some beef with a teammate and all that. But still, I just have a hard time imagining that this is actually going to turn into a real thing, an actual real thing, not what it's turned into so far, because that is not real.
No. And then, let's ignore the fact that the player with which Randy had the previous beef ended up playing with Randy for another 2 years and everything worked out fine. And Randy's only here for 1 more year anyways. But I think the craziest thing is this idea that's floated around. Like, let's say that the beef is real. Randy and Cal don't really get along. They don't like each other. The idea that 26 dudes, like, who are at the height of their profession, like, it doesn't get any better than being a Major League Baseball player. The idea that those 26 guys, their personalities all mesh together, they all love each other, that they all hang out with each other, they're all best friends off the field, is asinine. They're coworkers, and sometimes you have to work with people you don't like, and sometimes you just have to make that work, even if they drive you crazy. So
feelings mutual, pal.
It's going to be fine, even if the beef is real. Cal will have his, his locker. Randy will have his. They're a catcher and an outfielder. It's not like they have to go to meetings every day together. They're not working with one another on pitch sequencing or anything like that. And at the end of the day, you know what? Randy makes the Mariners better. At the end of the day, Cal makes the Mariners better. And this is a team that is the odds-on favorite to win the American League West. They're one of the top 2 or 3 favorites to win the American League, and they're one of the top, 5 or 6 favorites to win the World Series. This is not going to prevent them from doing that. And, oh, by the way, if we get to next October and the Mariners miss the playoffs and they said, oh, well, this was just too much to overcome, they were never going to win the World Series anyways because they're mentally weak. Who cares? Like, a team that can't get over this doesn't deserve to be in the playoffs, let alone the World Series. They'll be fine. This is a nothing burger. And now a team that has World Series aspirations, that was 8 outs away from going to the World Series. This is all anybody's going to talk about whenever they mention the Mariners for the next however many weeks, if not months. And that's annoying because this isn't a thing. I mean, again, and that's if the beef is real at all. Like, let's not forget that, the U.S. and Mexico, the baseball teams, they're rivals. They're competing to be at the top of this bracket or the top of this pool. These are the 2 dominant teams in this pool. Mexico has beaten the U.S. 3 out of the last 4 times. And, you ask Cal before the game starts, the most important game in the pool. You ask Randy after he just lost to Cal, 20 minutes ago. You ask him how he feels about it. Answers and opinions are going to change. And you step away from a day, you step away from it. They're going to go back to the clubhouse. And again, even if there is beef here, even if they don't really like each other, it's not going to have an impact. This is nothing.
Yeah. How many World Series winners do you know where all 26 guys or 25 guys back when that was the roster rules all just absolutely loved each other?
It doesn't happen. Like, it doesn't even happen
by the way, any team. It
doesn't even happen like the NBA where they have 12 dudes. Like, it just doesn't happen. Yeah. The best team I ever watched, well, maybe second best, not the conversation we're gonna have on this podcast, but they hated their starting quarterback, and everybody in the wide receiving room hated the number 1 wide receiver on the team. And like, the defense is kind of starting to hate their head coach, and they still won the Super Bowl in dominant fashion because it just doesn't matter. You live with it. You deal with it. Yeah. Even the 2025, 2026 Seahawks who love each other, and that's all they talk about, how much there are dudes in that locker room who can't stand each other, 22 hours a week, a day, but the 2 hours that they have to work together a day, they're fine. They make.
By the way, can we just also acknowledge the fact that, like, hey, this is the WBC. You're all going to return to your own clubhouses after this, and you're probably going to have to hear it if you lost to the other.
Probably. I just
like you're probably a little salty after losing, right? Like, Randy was probably a little salty last night after losing to Cal, right? He doesn't get the handshake. He gets a mic stuck in his face after his team lost to the USA. Mm-hmm. And they get asked about Cal, who was on the winning side. Yeah, Randy probably felt some type of way about it. Like if I lost to Colby in something, which would never happen because I'm just that much better than Colby.
Because Ty won't come to Seattle, so we can have our content creator softball game where we serve as team captains. Because I would obliterate Ty.
I'd be salty too. I'd be salty too. I'd be salty too. But that would never happen because
Ty is.
I'm better than Colby.
Ty is. I mean, he just call him potato chip because he's covered in salt all the time. Because I'm better than him, but. Including that music, by the way, Waldo's Springtime, barf. But look, Randy is entering a contract year, right?
Uh-huh.
He literally cannot afford to have this snowball into something because it's going to cost him a ton of money if it does. Nothing's going to happen out of this. Cal didn't disgrace the Mariners. Cal didn't.
No.
Randy's not going to burn the clubhouse
super
to
thrilled
the ground.
about? Am I super thrilled about Randy saying what he said about the captain and face of the team? No, I'm not. I'm not super thrilled about that. Am I super thrilled about how this is all played out? No. Do I care though? Not in the slightest. Not in the absolute slightest, because they're going to figure it out. And even if they don't figure it out, I don't think this is really going to be much of a problem that we'll have to talk about over the course of the season. And if it is, I think this clubhouse has worse problems.
Mm-hmm. It's not going to be because of this. This is just something that showed us a symptom of something that we didn't know was bubbling underneath. And again, sometimes it's just a coworker. You just have to learn how to work with them, and everybody gets to go home and get their paycheck, and you can ascend. And maybe someday the Mariners can ascend to heights as high as the Locked On Mariners podcast, but they haven't yet. So hopefully this doesn't distract them from doing so.
We know how to win. If you want to know how to win, reach out to us.
Yes, definitely. Now let's talk about a fan poll since we can't come up with our own content.
That's right. So I was about to upload this episode, but then Cal made a statement on this whole situation, and I feel it's pretty important to include that statement while I still have the opportunity to do so here on this episode. So let's do it. Let's read it. This is via Daniel Kramer of MLB.com. Cal says, quote, "There's no beef. I love Randy. Like I said, when we're back in Seattle, he's my brother. He's my family. I hate that this is a thing. I really don't think this is a big deal, a big story. It shouldn't be a thing. I love Randy. I have all the respect for him and Team Mexico," end quote. Still would like to hear that this thing is squashed from Randy's side of things, but as expected, seems like cooler heads are going to prevail, that this is going to be at least publicly squashed, hopefully privately as well. And hopefully we don't have to talk about this ever again. That'd be great. We will go over the results of round 2 of our Top 50 Mariners Moments tournament in just a moment. But first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is once again brought to you by MLB The Show 26, as well as the Space Needle. Today, I'm thrilled to be talking about our sponsor, MLB The Show 26. The greatest game in baseball is back with its newest installment. And let me tell you, baseball fans are going to have a hard time pulling themselves away from this game. Me personally, I can't wait to fire up franchise mode and take the Mariners all the way this year. I mean, I'm going to get Julio that MVP. I'm going to get revenge on the Blue Jays. It is going to be great. Heck, maybe I'll even use some of your trade ideas from Fan Fiction Friday along the way. But listen, if you're a gamer, a baseball fan, or just want to enjoy America's favorite pastime in a new, exciting way, you are going to love MLB The Show 26. Play as your favorite team and franchise players and see if you have what it takes to win your own World Series. Visit MLBtheshow.com/locked-on and use the promo code LOCKEDON, that's LOCKEDON, to unlock a pack for use in Diamond Dynasty. Internet connection required. Pre-order now. Available March 17th on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series S and X, and Nintendo Switch. Rated E for everyone. Pint to Pie at the Space Needle is the perfect pregame or pre-funk spot before hitting Climate Pledge Arena. After 4 p.m., the Space Needle's Pint to Pie gives you the whole package. Entry, a sweeter savory tip-top pie, and a pint of beer, wine, or a non-alcoholic drink, all for just $35 per person. Minimum purchase of 2 required. Pint to Pie is your launch pad to Kraken, Torrent, and Storm games, as well as so many other great events at the CPA. So why not enjoy a little space and a great view while pre-gaming with your favorite cocktail rather than trying to cram into a crowded sports bar? Toast the home team, then roll into Climate Pledge with the best pregame story in all of Seattle. Whether it's date night, friend night, or you're just here for the deal of it all, come take your place on the horizon for only $35 per person. Limited time offer, 21 plus only, ID required. Get tickets at spaceneedle.com. Minimum 2 required. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you so much for making us your first listen for all things Mariners. And also thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. If you've been thinking about joining the Everydayer Club, now is the time. Again, you get ad-free shows and access to our group chat on Discord. And if you're signed up before the NCAA tournament tips off, you can get into our Everydayer Club bracket pool on Discord for a chance to win Locked On merch. Right now, you can use the promo code MARCH to get your first month free. Head to lockedonmariners.supercast.com or tap the link in the description. All right, so top 50 Mariners moments round 2. There were a couple of really close matchups in here, Colby. One specifically that was, just haymaker after haymaker, like the Victor Robles catch versus Felix's last game. So in the end, how did this all shake out? Who's moving on to round 3?
Yeah, so not a ton of upsets, I would say. Like nothing that would shock anybody really happened. There were a couple close matchups. We'll get to those in a second, but there were also a ton of matchups that were 90-10 or even bigger blowouts than that. So we'll just run through those real fast. The double beat Julio's home run derby, 96-3. We had the Polo Game 5 walk-off beat Griffey robbing Barfield 93-7. The Griffeys going back-to-back beat Griffey breaking his wrist 91-9. Cal's walk-off homer to end the drought beat Randy's no-hitter 96-4. We'll get to that one in a minute. The comeback win in Toronto beat Jay Buhner's leaping catch 94.5 to 5.5. And Cal's 60th homer beat Cal Raleigh's home run derby win 90.2 to 9.8. Those were all massive blowouts. We also had this one pretty close to it was a blowout, but not quite 90-10. 85.8% of the people voted for the Mariners clinching the division for the first time in 95 over Ichiro's inside the park home run at the All-Star game. So those were the biggest blowouts. We had a couple more that were 65-35, which is relatively close in this poll. Edgar's Game 4 grand slam beat out Mike Blowers predicting the home run. Thought maybe there might be upset potential there. No, 64.7 to 35.3. And then in very similar numbers, Edgar being inducted into the Hall of Fame beats out Mike Cameron's 4 home run game. We also had Gino's grand slam beating the Mariners, clinching the American League West. Both of these happened last year. That one was 80-20 in favor of Gino. And then we had the close matchups here, and one that was not close, but for a different reason. We'll get to that. We'll save that one for last.
All right.
Also, last one here. Ichiro's Star Wars throw beat Ichiro walking off Mariano 72-28. I thought that one would be a little bit closer. So
I thought that was going to be way closer.
Yeah. But anyway, so we had 2 really close matchups in this one, including one that was tied with about 440 votes, I believe, when I sent you the results the other day. But anyways, Luis Sojo's Little League Grand Slam versus Carlos Guillen's squeeze bunt, 16 versus a 17. This one was decided by 5.2%.
Wow.
So 52.6% voted for Guillen's squeeze bunt to take down Sojo's grand slam, first 95 moment that does not advance. Somehow I feel like these are 2 very underrated sports moments, or Mariners moments, I should say. And the voting kind of reflected that. I think this was the one that was tied through 440. It might have been the next one we're about to talk about, which was equally as interesting because it was the Mariners' 116th win in 2001 versus Leo Rivas's Game 5 single to tie the game in the 7th. Would recency bias carry the day, or would a historic achievement really take it home? And it was close, 52.2 to 47.8, but Leo Rivas's single did end up getting the win here, and it will advance. In the final matchup, we need to talk about Felix's perfect game versus Iwakuma's no-hitter. No surprise who won this one. It was Felix.
Uh-huh.
What is surprising is out of the 529 people, nobody voted for Iwakuma's no-hitter. So this was a 529-0 victory, according to our Google form.
I mean, yeah, but also,
right?
No one even wanted to troll.
Result. I don't know. Now this would be interesting, because I'm guessing somebody's going to be out there and be like, "I voted for Kuma's no-hitter," and it's like, "Oh, so you're admitting to being a troll?" Like, so we'll see.
Yeah, if you want to out yourself like that, go ahead.
Right. But I mean, according to our Google form, 100% to nothing. So, and I'm not going to go through and look at everybody's individual vote total. So yeah, I'm not going to go through and see if anybody, like, if there was a rounding error or anything like that. So if you want to out yourself as being a troll who voted for Iwakuma, go ahead and do it. And we'll
by all means
this to say that Felix didn't win 100% of the vote, but whatever. According to this Google form page, Felix won that matchup with 100% of 529 out of 529 votes. So there you go.
All right. Well, I mean, I thought there would be a couple that were deserving of an absolute, like a 100-0 blowout. Mm-hmm. We got one of them at least.
Yeah.
So that good. I would say. I mean, like, no disrespect to Kuma's no hitter, but like compared to what it's going up against, like, yeah. I mean, like in general, just like remove the names. It's just no hitter versus perfect game.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, come on.
Anyways, if you guys want to out yourself, go ahead. Let us know.
Go for it. Go for it.
But yeah, again, according to the Google Doc or Google form, technically, maybe there's a rounding error in there. Maybe one person voted and the Google form was like, I can't even fit this on the pie chart. So it's just 100-0. But,
so the only upset we got right was Rivas.
Technically two upsets. If you just look at
Gian,
if you look at the highest seed, which again, seeding was not done based on how we ranked. It was just based on trying to get good round 1 matchups, which led to some good round 2 matchups purely accidentally.
All right. Well, coming up, we will look at the round 3 matchups, give you our thoughts on those in just a moment. But first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is brought to you by FanDuel and TurboTax. College basketball is nonstop. I'm talking big games, tight spreads, and momentum swings every single night. From early tip-offs to late-night West Coast shootouts, there's always action on the board. And now FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into even bigger potential wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. You can build any college hoops parlay you want, rivalry games, ranked matchups, you name it. You can mix spreads, totals, and player props to match how you see the slate playing out. Then you can apply the profit boost and instantly bump up the potential payout. So go safe, go bold, ride with the team you've been following all season. It's your parlay, your style, now with more upside behind it. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, play your game. Look, y'all, tax season doesn't have to take over your life, all right? Because this year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax Full Service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress or guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person or connect online. They handle everything from W-2s to self-employed forms and work to get you every deduction. You can upload your documents, go about your day, and get updates right in the TurboTax app. It's a huge time saver and gives real peace of mind knowing an expert is handling it. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150, all in if a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year. All you have to do is file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, if you want to hear from me and Colby even more and help support the show, we have a Patreon. It's called Control the Zone, and on there we talk Mariners, Seahawks, all that good stuff. For more information, go to patreon.com/Control the Zone. Link in the description of this episode. So round 3 is officially kicked off for our top 50 Mariners Moments tournament. You can vote right now. You can just click the link in the description of this episode, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening to it on your preferred podcast platform. That will take you to the Google form. Again, as always, you don't have to sign up for anything. You just check off the boxes you want to check off and then hit submit, and you are done. So we're going to get into these matchups now and give you our thoughts on them, and maybe, who we would pick in these matchups. And then we'll get out of your hair. So what do you want to start with? You want to just start in order here with matchup 1, Colby?
Sure.
All right. So it's the double against Carlos Guillen's squeeze bunt to advance to the ALCS.
Yeah. So if you're really upset that Luis Sojo's literally grand slammed in advance, which I don't know why you'd be upset about any of this, but if you are, fear not, because the double would have taken it out in the next round anyways. So as it will to Guillen's squeeze bunt.
Yeah. It's the double all the way. Matchup 2 is Edgar's Game 4 Grand Slam versus the Yankees in the ALDS. Against Edgar getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. So we got an Edgar on Edgar matchup here.
Yeah,
I think it's the Hall of Fame.
I think it will be too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see.
I think what that moment meant for Edgar personally, obviously, and then what it meant for this fan base, what it meant for the organization, which put this, that whole campaign together to get Edgar in, the accomplishment of doing it in his final year on the ballot, overcoming the narratives about the value of DHs, all that. Like, I think that outweighs what is obviously a very awesome moment and a very iconic series for the Mariners.
But not even Edgar's best moment in that entire series.
Yeah. With a very iconic call, and all that. I still think him making it to the Hall of Fame does outweigh this, even though that we did have the Grand Slam 1 seed higher than the Hall of Fame induction.
Again, anything that's ranked above 14, they earned the bye week, and we were just trying to pick the 14 best. Yeah. So really everything after the top 3, we were just like, is this one of the 14 best? Yes. Like the top 3 we actually ranked like in our, and then after that we're like, this is the 4 seed, fine, whatever. So, yeah. But again, purely accidental, but we ended up with a fun matchup here, and it's Edgar versus Edgar on the field versus kind of, I guess, an off the field accomplishment, even though it's directly correlated to what you did on the field. But that'll be an interesting one. I think the Hall of Fame will win it, but I don't know. I think that one could be close, but I thought the Ichiro's moments would be close last time, and it was not. It was 80-20. So maybe that'll happen here. I don't know.
So in our third matchup, we have 2 of the more iconic moments from the 2025 playoff run for the Mariners. It's Gino's Grand Slam against the Blue Jays in Game 5 of the ALCS against Leo Rivas's game-tying single, Game 5 of the ALDS on his birthday. And I have a take. I would take here. I shared this with you after our Patreon show yesterday. I think I'm voting for Leo Rivas here.
No.
Listen,
Gino's Grand Slam is the single play that has gotten you closer to the ultimate prize than any other play in Mariners history.
If that ball goes about 20 feet shorter, I think the result is still the same.
And if Leo Rivas doesn't get the hit, the Mariners still have 6 or 9 outs to try and win that game, to tie that game.
Yeah, because they definitely did a whole lot with those outs.
Well, I mean, but it's a different game when it's tied 2-2 versus down 2-1.
You don't get the Gino Grand Slam. You don't get the ALCS without Leo Rivas doing that.
And the Leo Rivas thing doesn't matter at all if Gino doesn't hit the Grand Slam, because then you get swept at home and you lose in 6 instead of getting to a game 7.
Again, so, Gino, all Gino had to do was just lift the ball.
The Gino Grand Slam is the second biggest hit in Mariners postseason history. And if you want to get technical, if you want to get technical, it is the biggest hit in Mariners postseason history, because it pushed them further down into the playoffs than they have ever been before. The double is great. It saved baseball in Seattle, even though I'm pretty sure that the bond passed before the series started to build, T-Mobile. Again, I wasn't paying attention to local politics.
I wasn't alive
when I was 3. So sorry if I don't have the exact dates right on that. But no, this is absurd. It's the Grand Slam at home. the crowd pop, all of that. It's Gino right there. Like
no one could read
his,
that.
whatever. It says good vibes only. It's eerily bright when I try to plug it in. So
yeah.
Anyways, it's him cementing his legacy as a Mariner legend forever. Leo Rivas didn't even make the top 50 Mariners bracket or a pool that they put out. You couldn't even vote for him. You had to write him in. What does that tell you? That the Mariners probably whiffed on one, because technically anybody who had a significant moment in Mariners history is supposed to be on that list. He was not. You had to write him in if you wanted to vote for him. But this is the Grand Slam that pushed them to, one win away from the ALC or from the World Series. It's not Gino's fault that the team
they were on the brink of elimination. Kerry Carpenter hit that home run, and we all thought it was over. Don't tell me that you didn't think it was over.
No, I didn't. I thought they were going to find a way to win, until like the 11th and the 12th and the 13th and the 14th, when they just lead off double every inning. So
Leo Rivas coming off the bench on his birthday.
Who cares?
Ties it up.
Cool. And on my birthday, I get a free ice cream cone. That doesn't make it special. Doesn't make it any more special. Okay.
It's crazy.
Gino's Grand Slam is one of the three most important.
I know our listeners agree with me because I hate you.
I highly doubt it. Because so far in a 50-50 battle, they sided with me every time.
This is a proxy for Team Ty versus Team Colby.
Gino's hit is significantly more important than Leo's. But hey, how funny is it, again, without any future planning, that this happens to be the round 3 matchup that we got by pure accident. So
how about that?
Yeah, funny how things work out sometimes.
All right, our 4th matchup is Jorge Polanco's walk-off in that same game, in Game 5 of the ALDS, against the Griffies, going back-to-back.
Yeah, look at that. Polo's more important hit versus, the Griffies going back-to-back. Now, in a pure...
How damn time that you got that hit.
Whatever, he got it. Leo Rivas win the game? I don't think so. Jorge Polanco did. That might be a debate we have to have in round 4. We'll see how round 3 goes. Because that would be the matchup, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But anyways, like in a baseball sense, like just which is a more iconic moment in baseball history, it's clearly the Griffies.
Right.
But in a Mariner sense, it kind of has to be Jorge, right? Like, I mean, there's just no real
this one's gonna be tough. I don't think this is actually going to wind up close. I think it should be close. I think it will be Polo's pretty significantly.
Yeah. I think this is like an 80-20 thing.
I think there's a real discussion to have here, though. Specifically with the angle that you took with it, like baseball iconography versus Mariners iconography, right?
Right. But this is a Mariners moment poll, so
I'll go with Polo's walk off, but the Griffies going back to back is just so.
I also
think
cool. One of the things that works in Polo's favor here is that the people voting in this, I'm going to assume, skew younger, because that's kind of what our listening demographics are. So I don't know how many of our listeners vividly remember the Griffies going back to back and all that. So I think that, the more recently it happened, I think they have an advantage in this bracket pool. But the Griffies going back to back is just one of the coolest moments in baseball history. Therefore, one of the coolest moments in Mariners history. It's just, it's going up against a very recent Mariners moment that literally won them a playoff series. And that's only happened twice in Mariners history. Although father and son going back to back has only happened once in baseball history. So
5th matchup, nothing to really see here. It's the Rainmaker versus the Mariners clinching the AL West in 2001. Mike Cameron and Mark McLemore holding the U.S. flag, all that. Great moment.
Getting a statue. That's all they're getting.
Great moment, has a statue. This moment for Cal, probably also going to get a statue in the future.
It's like future statue versus future statue.
Yeah.
Just, Cammy and McLemore can have Mark McLemore can have their statue earlier. Cal's going to get his statue in like 15 years. But Cal's going to win this one, and it shouldn't be close.
Yeah. 6th matchup is Mariners clinched their first division title in 95 versus Ichiro breaking the single season hits record.
kind of an interesting one.
Feel like it's probably going to be 95.
It should be. I think.
Yeah.
I think it should be.
Yeah, because it's 95, and yeah, I think it should be as well.
Because
it's
the first
it's the first. Yeah, it's the first division title. It's all that.
Plus, it's really hard to separate the whole, like, they were 13 and a half back in August, and they came back and they won in a tiebreaker and all that. Like, it's just hard to separate that from the individual.
So I think that's it. And I do think Ichiro should get some votes here, but yeah, that should be the
I mean,
division title.
Ichiro making it to the Sweet 16 for the hits record for one of the worst baseball teams we've ever seen. It's a pretty good run. So we'll see. I mean, I guess there's potential for upset there, but I think
I doubt it.
The iconography of that game and that situation and everything that went into that 95 division title, I just think it's going to take it significantly further than Ichiro's, name brand.
So our seventh matchup is certainly going to pull on your heartstrings a little bit. It's Felix's perfect game versus the Star Wars throw by Ichiro.
Yeah. Unlike you, I can answer things objectively. Felix's perfect game. It's not close.
Of course.
Yes.
And then our eighth matchup is the comeback win.
For you.
Yeah. Comeback win versus Toronto in the wild card round, game 2, of course, versus Cal hitting his 60th home run. First playoff series win in 20 years, or something that only 7 people have ever done before. So this is another like baseball iconography thing versus Mariners iconography thing.
Mm-hmm. I hope the comeback wins this matchup, only because looking ahead, if it does, it'll more than likely be going up against Felix's perfect game, and you'll have to choose which one you want. So that's mostly why I'm rooting for this.
I gotta say though, like, hitting 60 home runs is crazy. Like, it's insane.
But it's not like a team accomplishment, and I feel like team accomplishments are
still a Seattle Mariner hits 60 home runs in a single season.
Yeah, but I don't know.
This is coming from the guy that was at that game.
Oh, were you? I've never heard that story before.
Yeah. So like,
I don't, guys.
I remind you.
I think if you're really Team Colby, you would vote for the comeback win just so we can mess with Ty next week when we have him.
Am I rooting for Cal to win here just so I don't have to deal with that next week?
Seems like it might be a little bit. Yeah. You're disgracing the memory of Slapped in America.
I'm gonna have to. You're gonna make me try and pick apart Felix's perfect game.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping happens. Sure.
All right. Here's the question though: is hitting 60 home runs in a season better than a perfect game?
Fewer people have done it, but no.
It's also a season-long thing compared to a one-day thing.
Yeah, but it's a perfect game. Like. I mean,
it's also hitting 60 home runs.
Yeah, but we've seen it. Like,
I kind of feel like this actually should be the matchup here, because that's a pretty good debate. The 60 home runs versus a perfect game.
Again, we didn't look ahead to try and build the perfect bracket. So, but you know what?
No, but what I'm saying is maybe this should be the round 4 matchup.
Oh well, no, because I'd rather it be the comeback.
Right.
Because either you have to pick apart your crowning achievement as a fan, or you have to pick apart Felix Hernandez's crowning achievement. So let's do the right thing, guys. Let's put Ty in a box here.
I think seeing a couple wins in the ALCS in person is a better crowning achievement than seeing game 2 of the World Cup.
Talk about that as much as you talk about game 2. So.
Well, because I'm still a little hurt about how the rest of that series went. But
every
those first 2 games
for 3 years I had to listen to. Where were you watching game? Because I was there, actually. Let me tell you, I was there. And
remind me, when was the last time you were at a Mariners playoff home win?
Maybe 97. I don't know if my parents dragged me to one of those games or not.
And case in point.
Whatever.
I'm just saying it might be coming from a place of bitterness.
You also went to a Mariners playoff loss more recently than me, so
yeah.
And
still 4-1. Still 4-1 at playoff games.
To go back to our Gino versus Leo Rivas debate, my loss was only in an ALDS. Your loss was an ALCS. Which one do you think hurt more? The ALCS because it matters more. Just saying. Just throwing that out there.
I had the chance to see the Mariners go to the World Series,
and you didn't.
And it was ripped away from me.
Mm-hmm. Now, go out and vote, guys. Either way, Ty's going to be in an interesting pickle with the round 4 matchup.
Thanks to you.
Unless Ichiro Star Wars throw somehow pulls off the upset, but Felix just won 100-0.
Yeah, you know what? Vote for Ichiro's Star Wars throw.
Felix just won his last matchup.
We're gonna flip this thing. We're gonna flip this thing on Colby.
Well, I mean, I'll just vote for Ichiro Star Wars throw to make the Cinderella run to the finals. So
yeah,
that's fine by me. But yeah. Anyways, some interesting matchups this round. Again, purely accidental. But I told Ty we could reseed, and he never answered me. So this is what he gets.
No, I answered you. We talked about this. Yeah, we talked about this. I was like, we don't need to reseed.
You didn't say that.
Yeah, we talked about this on Friday.
Show me the text.
No, we talked about this in person, or not in person, but on video. It was It was on Friday. I remember after our live stream. Colby's trying to lie on my name. He's trying to lie on my name on the show. You have nice parents, though. All right, well, that's going to do it for our show. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And once again, if you never miss an episode, it's time to make it official. Join the Locked On Everydayer Club and get ad-free audio, access to our members-only Discord, and more, all built for our most loyal fans. For Colby Patnode, I'm Tiding Gonzalez. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at LO_Mariners. You can follow me at Tiding Gonzalez and Colby at CPAT11. That's CPAT11. We're also on Blue Sky. You can follow me at TDG, Colby at MLB Colby, and the show at Locked On Mariners. You can also find us on Instagram at Locked On Mariners. Have yourself a beautiful baseball day, and we'll see you next time. Peace.